It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes. Let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
Oh, he never tells me he's going to do that. I already popped mine. My name's Mike.
I know. When you said you're like, I'm opening my root beer, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to wait for it. I'm just going to save it for the show. That's a good air. And this week, we've got our first look at Lara Croft in the upcoming Tomb Raider. I believe it's a series, right? I think it's a TV series.
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
For that, which made me had to double check my show. If you're watching this, we are not sponsored by Amazon Prime. You don't have to have Amazon Prime to watch this. It's just a big logo for Amazon Prime that Mike put in there.
I would love. Maybe this is how we court them. We start putting their logos on all of the thumbnails.
That's right. That's right. Also, God of War, Kratos himself has been cast. We'll talk about that.
This will be great for Chris to inform me of everything.
Yes. The top two things are video game related, so we'll do that. Star Wars gets new leadership. Not a shakeup, I guess, more of a planned succession, but actually, it was more announced and just went through with it like immediately, which is crazy. And more this week. Yeah,
I would like to pretend it was a close. On the thumbnail this week, Dave Filoni or Sophie Turner, but I think Sophie Turner is going to get a slightly more engagement than Dave Filoni's cowboy hat. So sorry, Dave. Maybe next time.
Yeah. He's a one-trick pony. It's a cowboy hat and Ahsoka shows. I mean that's all he's going to go for. No, I'm kidding.
I want to know the origin of the cowboy hat. Yeah. Like the only way he doesn't have to explain it to me if he's from some sort of southwestern state. Which, could be, but he really strikes me as the type of guy that, like, at some point in his 20s, he's just like, I'm going to make the cowboy hat my thing, and then it never stopped.
Well, I tell you what, the best producers we know are wear hats, right? Kevin Feige, Dave Filoni, right? The hat guys. And I want to kind of say, I just assumed when he was hired on at Skywalker Ranch, he assumed it was like an actual Western ranch. And
that is actually the best. That's the best story. Yeah. Like he didn't want to feel out of place on his first day, so he bought a cowboy hat, and then all of a sudden he became the cowboy hat guy.
Yeah. He had to stick with it. He just rode through it there. But he's from Pennsylvania. But we'll talk about more about that stuff later. I had to look it up. Mike, I haven't got to watch anything. We're on a holiday weekend. We had a 3-day weekend to us. We did. I know a lot of people don't. Some people do, but we do. And you've been ancillary to both mine and mostly our friend of the show, Quentin Parker's a cold winter snap we're having here in this region.
Yeah, Chicago shows up here in the United States every once in a while, and it's like, oh, you forget that's where all of like the bitter cold headlines come out of. It's always Chicago. Yeah. And he's living it in real time right now. So if you're listening to the show right now, Q, I hope you don't die.
Yeah. I think he's fine. But like, I'm really surprised. Like, if I have to drive 5 hours to get to where he lives, and I'm only like maybe 10 degrees warmer than he actually is, which is surprising for us. I'm like, well, it's been a cold weekend, so I've stayed inside and not done a whole lot.
It's been unseasonably warm out here on the West Coast. We hit, I think, 80 degrees just the other day. We're looking at like high of 70s. I mean, I don't want to complain we've obviously just talked about the weather in other parts of the country, but it is a really weird time in LA where it's just like you have to layer up because if like you go to the park and like you're standing in the shade, you're like freezing without a jacket. If you stand in the sun, you're like baking. You absolutely like have to have like a smart thermostat during this time of the year because it gets like cold at night, like really cold where your heater on, but like in the middle of the day, you're just like getting beat down. You need the AC to run. So it's just that time of the year here in the Valley in Southern California.
It is. I got nothing to kick this off, Mike. Let's just jump into the news. How about this? So we're going to start off with
let's do it.
God of War, the video game. This is the video game franchise from PlayStation. It's been around since mid-2000s, I'd say. I think it was a PS2 game. And Amazon is doing a live-action series of this, and they've cast Ryan Hurst, known mostly for his live action portrayal in Sons of Anarchy. He also voices a character in the God of War video games, not Kratos, but he will be playing the titular character that when you think God of War, you think Kratos along the way. And that's good. That's good news.
This is why that's why this guy looks familiar. I've never watched. Well, no, I have watched a couple episodes of Sons of Anarchy, but it was around enough and it aired long enough to where you start to notice the faces, even if you've never seen the show before.
Yeah.
It's funny. I just Googled him to make sure I knew who he was, and there's a side-by-side screenshot of him where he was in. God, what? I don't know if this is. Yeah, The Walking Dead.
Yep.
He was in at least one season of The Walking Dead, and he is. I think he's meant to look like a zombie, but I don't think he's actually a zombie.
It's like one of those characters, Alpha or Omega or whatever, who wears the zombie skins to blend in with the zombies. He's one of those leaders of that show. Yep. He was also in was it like the Mysterious Benedict Society, I think, or something like that on Disney Plus recently. And then he obviously, for those, because this will be some education for Mike, in the most recent God of War games, or two from 2018 and 2021, 22, he voices Thor, the God of Thunder, in those games. And now he's been pulled in to play the character opposite of him with this.
I mean, he certainly looks like Kratos. I don't have much of a dog in this fight, but I do know that kind of the games were definitely revitalized. Yeah. With the new cast, when they
story,
kind of we rebooted the games. I guess I do have a little bit of experience with this franchise, because there's a whole level in Astrobot where you get to assume the role of Kratos, and I have his axe that you throw with one trigger, and then you press it again to bring it back to you. So I felt like I got to experience a little bit of the gameplay that's in these new God of War games. So that was kind of fun.
And what's cool is actually it's not a reboot even. It's a continuation of the original story. So it's the same character. At one point in the first game, spoiler alert, but not really, you go get the chains of Hades that he has. I think they're chains of Hades from the first game, where he slings around those big chains with the blades on the end of it.
Oh, that's fun. I like that idea.
Yeah, so you have the axe, he has the chains. You get as you obviously progress through games, you get some of that. In the second one, in this one he has a son, and he's you're journeying through the sun with the sun along the way, so you kind of learn a lot about the Norse mythology, and I really like these games. I never played. I saw people play the original God of Wars, but I never got to play them. I ended up. I think my brother took the PlayStation 2. I took the Xbox when we were kids. So it was more of those okay, well, we have to divide these. I'll never get to play the PlayStation exclusives without anyone around. So I seen them, but I picked up the 2018 one. It was the first game that also made me realize I needed to update my TV at the time, which was 32 inches. And I'm I can't read shit on the screen. I can't see anything, any of the tips, anything going on. I've got to get a bigger one. So that was actually one of the few games that pushed me to actually buy a TV without the TV worked, but I'm I can't see anything. It's not even barely 1080. So I have a good time with this. I like the games. I think they're both fun. They're staples for playing on PlayStation. These, along with to me, Spider-Man, are the reasons I keep my PlayStation around to do that. The first one also has a really good end game where you get to go back to do more and more. You're not necessarily it's got replayability on some of the difficulties and unlocking things. So absolutely fun. I've so this show is also based off the most recent two games. With this guy Ryan Hurst here, he's got the beard that Kratos has in the newer games. He didn't have those in the older games. And looks to be fine. I mean, like I said, I don't have a dog in this fight either, Mike. I like the games, but I'm how do you tell this story on this scale to people who may not have even seen it?
Well, I saw the big question kind of rolling around when this was announced is this actor going to shave his head? Because I would think Kratos is probably going to be one of the most iconic bald-headed video game characters out there. I can't think of anybody that's kind of rivaling him. But I saw somebody mention that he might practice a religion that might prohibit him possibly from shaving his head. I don't know. I'm just kind of pulling that out of a random internet comment. So I would imagine that they, even though this is probably going to have a pretty good Amazon Prime budget, because there's going to be a lot of like action and destruction in this type of game franchise. I would think that they don't want to like, I mean, could you see, I mean, technically, yes, you could CG hair off of somebody and turn them bald, but I feel like it's easier to change their hair to a different hair rather than to no hair, because then you're going to like clip out all this hair. You got to like, you got to track all of this like lighting around the environment to make sure the shiny head is like, you know, shining in the right positions.
I think we are in an age with enough, you know, makeup and CG touch up. You could bald someone like a bald cap and then do that as well. I don't think there's like, I don't think that's that difficult to do, I guess. And I figure they probably screen tested him. By like, you know, they're not casting someone who can't cut his hair without screen testing him, right? They're not going to find this out day one. Like, oh shit, we should have done something else or somebody else. But I mean, I think they can do it. If they can make me think that Walton Goggins doesn't have a nose for 2 seasons of Fallout, I think they can probably make this work a little bit with the hair along the way. But yeah, he is very much bald. I am also very pale white skin with the red paint. I mean, they got to give him they can't show him without the look, because like he's already got the history of the first 3, 4, 5, 6 God of Wars, however many there are. I think they said there's 10 games or something. So yeah, he's got to be.
They could Daredevil it, you know, where like for 90% of the season he just looks like himself, and then goes through some sort of transformation to get the iconic look there the last episode.
God, that would be off. People will riot if they don't just give you the guy he looks like along the way. But for those who may not know the actor, Red Hurst, he will be seen in The Odyssey later this year for Christopher Nolan. So this will be fun. Hopefully we get to see something soon. The other part of this, like, so Amazon, they're out here taking these video games and adapting. We're going to talk about the other one. The thing is, what we've talked about so far is like the looks. The story, I think we believe in. Like, right, it'll be fine to tell the story and do everything in God of War. So they could probably even reuse some Lord of the Rings stuff they've already got done, carry it over there. But the other one is, you know, Tomb Raider. We're going to talk about Tomb Raider. Sophie Turner, known for, again, Game of Thrones, cast as Lara Croft for the Tomb Raider show. And if you'd told me that, Mike, when it came out, I'd been like, yeah, that's fine. I had no dog in this fight either, but I don't really feel like she's like, I don't imagine her as Lara Croft, if that makes sense. And but we got our first look at it, and so I think the same thing will go when we get our God of War Ryan Hurst look. The first look, we'll kind of know it, but like let's talk about this first look here of Sophie Turner's version and how classic Tomb Raider this is. This isn't the modern Tomb Raider. This is PS1 era Tomb Raider, right? They're giving us for this show.
Yeah, this ain't no was it Alicia Vikander inspired or the new run of video games. This feels very classic. I mean, if you look at the video, I don't think anyone would deny that this looks very much like classic Lara Croft. So it's exciting from that point of view. But I mean, if we're saying we don't have a dog in the fight with God of War, I'm not even interested in purchasing a ticket to the fight right now for this show. I think it's just because it's been adapted so many times. I've been trying to think of other kind of examples where they've tried to get something off the ground so many times already. It's like we had the original movie series, okay, and then they tried to reboot it in a new movie series. It didn't really get off the ground. They tried their best, and then now there's like a whole series. I guess the unique selling proposition here is that it is a series, so they can kind of approach it from a different angle. But it's gonna have to be the trailer that sells me on this. I mean, Lara Croft was definitely on the PlayStation when I was growing up, but I never really got into the games, right? They were almost a little too mature for me as like a kid. It was just like, oh, this is like dark. There's like monsters and stuff. I'm just slightly too young to really glom onto this franchise. But I suppose that's not a good excuse because I was also playing, technically I was watching my older brother play the Metal Gear games. And then once I got a little bit older, I could play them myself. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's a trailer right around the corner. I mean, we were just talking about the Super Bowl before we got on these hot mics, so maybe there'll be a first look at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know when this comes out because I think they just started filming it this month. Like that's why we're getting this first look. They just started filming it, so I don't think we're gonna get. This show's not a 2026 show. I think it'll be 2027, for sure. But for me, I did grow up playing Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 quite a bit. I had the Pizza Hut demo disc that had Tomb Raider 2 on it, and it had like the Venice level. And I could do that level with my eyes closed. I played that damn demo so many times.
It was a little hard for me because she kind of had like, it was almost like if you tried to put like adventure platforming mechanics into a Resident Evil game. Because didn't you have to kind of like, she had like a really weird like control. It's called felt like you were like. It was like you were moving a tank with like rubber bands or something.
Well, it is. It's called tank controls, where like you move with one stick and look with the other, but like it's only like 4 directions, right? Like it's not the same. Like you, it's got to be pixel perfect. The first 3 had that unique, like you said, tank style control. Where the other ones, the newer ones, are more like, to me, this was, it wasn't quite Indiana Jones, but they were like still kind of Indiana Jones, but the newer ones have gone way too Nathan Drake, Uncharted vibes, and I don't want that. I know the Alicia Vikander and the newer version, she has like the green tank top, and she's like, I got a bow and arrow and do stuff. But this is Lara Croft. She's got her guns on. I hate those red sunglasses she's wearing, but I know that's me. That's a personal thing, but that's what she wore in the original ones. Which did have some sci-fi stuff, and recently, I think 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, they released the remasters of 1, 2, and 3 on newer consoles, and I bought it and I played through that pretty well. They also could let you change the tank controls because obviously that would be very fun. But to me, I also remember I had 2 DVDs when DVDs came out. Mike, the first 2 DVDs I got, one was The Matrix, the other one was Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider from that era, which was kind of like they were selling, was it sex sells back in the 90s, right? Like getting Angelina Jolie and like the Tomb Raider, all that stuff. They were like, oh, men will love this stuff. But like I'm excited to visit this as a era with like, she's got her guns, she's hopefully going to do some artifact hunting, and we get to see more of that rather than hey, we're just kind of shooting up some terrorists, because there's not a lot of people in the first games, right? It's more puzzle based and like jungle focus, so obviously they'll have people to shoot along the way. And also, we just talked about Walton Goggins was in Tomb Raider with the 2017 version. I don't know if you remember that or not.
No, I don't.
he was the villain. He was actually the main villain, since we just talked about it. We got to see that early. We got like one of those early screenings to that one. I remember watching that. But yeah, either way, like I'm a fan of the original games. Like I lean toward this. Will I be the line, like if there was a line at a store to buy this, like would I be the first line? Absolutely not. This is not like something I'm clamoring for. I'm like, oh my god, you gotta make Tomb Raider. But it is funny, between Twisted Metal, Tomb Raider, God of War, The Last of Us, the way Sony's like really leaning into their properties into TV series right now is fascinating. I want to know, to me, what's next. What's the next Sony property they're going to turn into a show?
As long as it distracts them from their Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Split custody.
Well,
just let Marvel handle that.
They've got Spider Noir coming to Amazon Prime. Don't forget that. They've got that. It is split custody, absolutely, but they're doing that. But like, is there any for you, Mike? And then this might be a swing. Is there any PlayStation 1 era game you would like to see get a movie made out of, like this, or a TV series?
Well, now I'm just thinking of the little Easter eggs and bots that I've rescued in Astrobot over the last couple weeks. I was pleasantly surprised to be kind of thrown back into the world of Ape Escape, because it's like so crazy. The apes are just absolutely nuts. It's such like a weird world. I mean, we're going to talk about a very outlandish, campy world here in the next topic. I think if One Piece can exist, I think Ape Escape can exist.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to see a Final Fantasy TV series, Mike. Like, I don't know. Like, I like Final Fantasy 8. Some people like 7. 9 is definitely its own vibe. But like, I would love to see one of those get a movie, like, or a TV series. I'm sorry, show. But like, I don't know what I'd want out of that, and that's the problem. I'm like, well, that would be pretty fun, but like I don't know, what do you do with something like that? I think that's when I think PlayStation, I think of those games. Obviously, I always would go back to, I don't know if you ever played Tekken, with Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat being big, maybe Tekken gets a show or movie coming up to compete with that. But yeah, Silent Hill. Silent Hill's getting a movie right now too, Silent Hill 2. So like,
oh yeah, I mean I would say that like those kind of narrative based games, like Silent Hill, where it's a very iconic atmosphere, somebody's dealing with some sort of grief. I mean. The ball is on the tee, ready to smack it for a home run. I feel like something Final Fantasy, that is definitely something hard to adapt because you're kind of either stuck with adapting a very specific game,
right?
Which, I mean, this is like a Japanese like storytelling to like a T. You're basically adapting anime at this point if you're adapting a Final Fantasy game. And
well, did you? I don't know if you ever saw the Spirits Within when they tried to do that movie, and it felt just like a Japanese movie, but not really. Like it didn't feel Final Fantasy. So like, I feel like you're right. Like how do you tell the story of a game where it's an RPG in that
yeah movie? Also where it changes every game title basically. I don't know if this was done with Spirits Within because I don't remember the plot of that movie, and there's been so many Final Fantasy games, maybe this has already been covered, but the only real commonality that I can see across all the games is like materia and summons, like these kind of core game mechanics that exist across all of them. So it'd be kind of cool, maybe tell a story about like the origins of these things, right? Create brand new world, brand new characters. Don't worry about any of the lore of any of the games, and maybe we're witnessing the birth of materia or summons or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think that would be good, and I think all the games do have their own story you have to kind of break into. So I agree that you can't just tell one, unless you wanted to tell the story of like maybe the original Final Fantasy game for regular Nintendo, because it's so stripped down. Like you have a red warrior, a green warrior, a black, and you're like, none of these actually aren't people, they're pixels at that point. So maybe it is the origin of, like, I don't want to say Final Fantasy Origins because I'm pretty sure it's a game, but like the origin of Final Fantasy like is the way you kind of do that. And
you know what, maybe if you create like an interesting enough world and it's popular enough to where you could see this going a couple seasons, maybe you bring in some of the more iconic Final Fantasy characters from the other games, but you're kind of like MCU-ifying it, where like you're totally changing, their like origin. Yeah, because that first Final Fantasy game, I believe is very kind of, isn't it more like medieval focused?
Yeah, the first three don't have summons. Like there are like, it's basic D&D style. You have a mage, a warrior, a healer, stuff like that. Like it's very like, so it doesn't archetypal.
So it doesn't really make sense for Cloud Strife to exist in that world, but you could create a Cloud Strife character and kind of get him within that zone. So it's like an alternate reality.
Yeah,
but see, Sony, we're already pitching to you right now. Yeah. Just throw us a couple bucks, like sponsor the podcast.
We'll ideate all day. Like literally, we'll just
live on the podcast. You can just own all of this.
Yeah, right. And we can put the Prime logo right on our episode cover like we did today. We'll do it for you.
And that's when one of the producers leans over the table. Now, you've only played 1.5 Final Fantasy games?
Yeah.
And I say, yes, exactly. Yeah. That's all I need to know.
And how much of your audience have they played? Less than one. All right? So you're actually ahead of most of the viewers in this situation. You had me thinking Kingdom Hearts for a second there, and then I shook my head. No, that's not a good idea. That'll never fly. But anyway, if you guys have any games you want to see adapted to TV series, Sony or not, do let us know. I think there's a lot of good stuff out there from the years, and again, I'm neck deep in retro games right now, Mike. So obviously, I'd love to see some of the stuff make a comeback. But you're right, we have to go to the Grand Line next because One Piece is coming back in March, and I'm going to be at the front of this line to watch this show, Mike. I don't know if they're doing weekly. I don't know if Netflix is dumping them all at once, probably all at once. But I'm going to make sure I block off time to watch One Piece Season 2 into the Grand Line because, good Lord, this looks, again, I'm going to use this phrase again, batshit crazy. This show looks like is leaning into the obscure weirdness, like things that make no sense in this world, and I love that. And this gives us a first look at what they call the Baroque Works, the assassins after the pirates, the Straw Hat Pirates gang.
Yeah. My guess would be in the manga or the anime, this has got to be some sort of arc, where it's like all of these assassins are culminating into some sort of story. If not, they're doing a good job making it feel like that's what's going to happen. And like Chris and I have stated on the show many, many times, we do not know the source material for a lick of anything, but we have seen the first season and we really, really liked it. So we are so on board with this. There's crazy stuff in this trailer. I just watched it before we started recording, so it's fresh in my mind. But we've said this before with season 1. This show excels because it does not shy away from being a live action cartoon. There's a dude with the number 3 on the top of his head. Like his hair is molded into the shape of like a number 3. I think it's actually backwards, so maybe it's like a Japanese character. Thinking about it.
That's also David Dastmalchian from like all of
James Gunn.
Yeah, M. Bison himself. The polka dot man from Suicide Squad. Like he can do serious stuff and then he goes and does something goofy like this along the way.
It's just so wacky. I mean, Chris has some specific moments in this trailer that he wants to pull out. But and he was listening to me while I was watching this trailer. He's just like, "Oh, I want to see what Mike reacts to." And I was like, "Chris, you're gonna have to tell me like at least half a dozen things in this trailer." The first one being extra arms was growing out of these soldiers, and then the extra arm was like killing them, like stabbing them or shooting them or something. And I was like, well, this is crazy, and we're only like 10 seconds into this trailer. What is happening?
Oh yeah, I mean, to me, like there are, so just so you know, so if you go back to episode 554, everyone, in the notes we talked about every episode has an arc associated with the manga, so you can pull that out. But like I'm watching this, there's this assassins, and then like at the end there's this guy in like a I guess what a colonial era wig. He pulls on his
like a judge's wig.
Yeah, he pulls on his like little collar, like or whatever, lapels, and then guns come out of his wig, and he's like doing some opera singing while the guns are firing out of his hair. And I'm like, holy shit, this is just gonna be wild. Like this is exactly what I'd imagine being in a manga, right? Like seeing this on the pages, seeing this in the anime. Like I am 100% down for this. And there's a part where I don't remember the character's name. It's the guy who has the 3 swords and one's always in his mouth. He's got flaming swords at one point later on in the
does it start with a Z? Is that like a play on the Zorro or something? Or
it's probably just
I told
Zorro,
you, people, we did not watch the source material.
No, I don't have time to watch 1200 episodes. You were talking about there's the little cat on riding like a bird shoot with the machine gun shooting the one. So that's like later on, because we know we're gonna get what's his name, the little deer dude, right? Which is
what's his name? Toby?
Tony Chopper.
Tony, yeah.
So we're gonna see Tony there, and those look like an animal level with the jungle. So like those are the last 3 episodes. Chris,
I was right. Fun. His name was Zorro. I think Zorro is technically the character's last name. It's Ranoa Zorro.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Just call him Zorro.
Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. But anyway, this is a fun pirate crew. We've got all of them together. They're going to be getting Tony Chopper. I'm just ready to return to the world of One Piece and follow these pirates as they go search for that titular One Piece, if you will, along the way. So
yeah, I mean, I know we're not plugged into the fandom, but I feel like I have not seen negative feedback from this series existing, right? There's been a whole lot of people saying that a lot of these anime adaptations like shouldn't exist. There's no way they could do it justice. But I haven't really heard a whole lot of complaints about this one. I mean, everyone's heard my complaints about the live action adaptation that Netflix been doing of the Avatar series. And I think maybe I've seen some people agree with me on the internet, but I feel like One Piece, like overwhelmingly, is like, yeah, we're all on board. This is great. No one's complaining about it.
Yeah, and if they, after one season, maybe the second season is not as good. We don't know yet, but everything they're showing me tells me that the creator Ichiro Oda is literally letting them lean into this goofiness, this world that makes no sense, where you eat a fruit and you get powers, and there's assassins chasing you and pirates, and I'm here for it, Mike. I am so here for it, and I'll probably never watch I guess the original one, maybe, if that makes sense. But like I'm here to definitely watch this one when it comes out in March, and we'll probably do a review. I think our One Piece reviews, I think, are our most watched episode on the history of YouTube. So I think we should do a dedicated One Piece season 2 episode, Mike, review when it comes out.
We might have to.
Yeah. Shifting gears, over in the Star Wars community, there has been I don't know, it's a balance in the Force. I don't know how to do a Star Wars reference here. But if you've not been living in Iraq, you may not have heard Kathleen Kennedy has stepped down as president, retired, I guess, to go be a producer elsewhere on her own volition. And she has appointed both Dave Filoni and Brennan as co-presidents of Lucasfilm. Which Dave Filoni we talked about here, he's the creative CCO. Brennan has been running as the vice president and doing the business side for several years as well at Lucasfilm. So no one knew, but two people instead of one driving the ship over there, Mike.
Yeah, there was some sort of exit interview, I guess, for Kathleen Kennedy, because there was all of these like little Star Wars updates like peppered throughout the week. So I guess she was like, "Hey, it's not on me anymore. I guess I can talk to somebody as I leave." But yeah, I do think it's important to say that like I'm pretty sure this is Kathleen Kennedy either full on retiring, or maybe she just wants to move on to maybe smaller independent projects, because she's been like a producer her whole life. I don't really know how you kind of turn that side of your brain off. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Apple TV's Seth Rogen's like The Studio. That's like how the whole show sets off is like this bigwig at a studio. She's canned, and she like is like bored and doesn't have anything to do and wants something to do. So obviously, she's not getting fired here, but depending on what news source you follow, I feel like I've seen people really loose with the headlines around this one, like Kathleen Kennedy out, Dave Filoni in. It's just like, okay, she's just retiring. Just be chill about it, okay?
Right, yeah. So, I mean, like, say what you will about Star Wars since she started and took over as president in 2012. The box office receipts are there for Star Wars, right, for Lucasfilm. Billions of dollars. Whether we like the movies or not, the shows or not, they have made billions of dollars she has during her time there for Star Wars, and that's what she was there to do, right? Make the money, bring in the green, and she admitted in the interview you can't please everyone, and especially with Star Wars, very very loud fandom along the way.
I feel like I've had my fair share of fair criticism towards Kathleen Kennedy, but also as time has gone on, I feel like I have at least grown in the sense of like, oh, Star Wars is such a gigantic cruise ship that I don't know if any one person can steer this thing anymore. And I think that was outside of Kathleen Kennedy's control. If we kind of look at her iconic history, like producing movies, like this was back in the day when the trilogy was like a new concept. This was like something fresh that I hadn't really done before. And it's like, wow, 3 continuous movies. That's kind of crazy. And now we're like in a world of just like 20 plus is the norm. So I would agree with you in the past when you said that she gets a lot of undeserved hate, but also maybe some deserved, but that still shouldn't overshadow the accomplishments that she's had in her career. That's
here's the thing. I would hate her. I even think your statement's a little incorrect, because I don't hate her for doing her job. Like, you can't, like, she's not a malicious person. Like, she's like out here being like, yeah, whatever you think about Star Wars, yeah, fuck you, whatever I'm doing. She's not like a Zack Snyder who like we hate because he's a bad person for what he does, like, and how he treats stuff. Like, for her, she's a president running a company and her goal at the end of the day is to make money, right? Like, that is what a company has to do. She can make the best thing in the world, but if nobody goes and sees it, like, that's the point. So, like, as a president, she's absolutely, done what she needs. And she's got, again, if you go look up her credits, she's got a history of being a producer on amazing films, like starting with E.T., Jurassic Park, stuff like that. Indian in the Cupboard, a movie you probably haven't seen in 25 years, Mike. She's on there. But at the same time, putting it, I don't think Dave Filoni is also as a lone president. I don't think he's a president person of a company. If I'm going to be completely honest, he's a creative guy. So I'm glad that they have two people here. Now, this is like a DCU situation where you have the business person, the creative person. Let them work it out and see where it goes from there.
Filoni is also not infallible either, and I think this maybe has what changed my mind the most on Kennedy is we essentially got Filoni and Jon Favreau probably unrestrained, and they were able to do whatever they wanted to do, and then they gave us season 3 of The Mandalorian, which I don't really like thinking about, and I don't think is a very successful bit of storytelling. And honestly, the only thing Kathleen Kennedy was probably involved with that was just saying, yeah, go ahead and make it. The other 2 seasons were very successful. Keep going. So I think it is probably a good idea that Filoni probably doesn't just have carte blanche over Star Wars because you bring up a great point. That's not his forte. He wants to think about cool little idiosyncrasies within the universe, and I think that's what he's best at.
Well, I also think, and not to say that they're not at fault, but also we've heard over the past several years that the push for Disney Plus content. I mean, everyone was told you have to make content for Disney Plus or else, right? Whether you like it or not, your company has to provide us content to get this streaming service off the ground at whatever cost it is. We've seen that with Marvel. I also would say some of The Mandalorian, the first season wasn't really made to do that, but they were like, oh, look, you're driving subscriptions with The Mandalorian. Do more, whether you like it or not. Because I could easily see that show wrapped up in 2 seasons, right? It easily could have wrapped up quickly. But, they've even pulled it from Disney Plus. No more shows. You're getting a movie now to wrap it up. So we're going to see that here in March. But in that interview with Deadline, which, she had an interview with Deadline, tells me that, again, this was very much planned. They knew what they were doing here. She gave some updates on the stuff that we know has been announced out there. So I'm going to run through these real fast, Mike. Stop me if you want to talk about any of them, or we can just save it for the end, because you can see the list here. But Simon Kinberg, working on the next Star Wars trilogy, he is still working on it right now. That is alive. So no updates really on that one. I think they said they're still working on they cracked the story back in October or something like that. So we'll see if we get anything on that. James Mangold's the first Jedi Origin of the Force, whatever, that movie is on hold. He's on hold with everything. His DCU stuff's on hold, so I think it might be his schedule more than anything. Steven Soderbergh, The Hunt for Ben Solo, she specifically said that is on the back burner, not that it's off the table. So that's an interesting statement. That maybe the loud reaction to that announcement last year might have maybe changed some of their minds a little bit, maybe shaken them a hair. Taika Waititi movie is alive, but it's not her decision since she's leaving. So she's like, well, I'm not going to make any calls on this. Donald Glover's movie for Lindo is alive, and he has turned in the script. I don't know when he turned in the script. And then lastly, the Dave Filoni crossover film for The Mandalorian and Ahsoka stuff is on hold. So that's a lot of Star Wars that's in the works. That doesn't include The Mandalorian coming out in May, or Starfighter, which is the following May, which are the only 2 confirmed things we have.
Yeah, I don't know if this goes without saying, because it's pretty. She was kind of on board of these projects, but every time in that interview where she talked about she had seen the script for the project, she said it was great and amazing. So she said, "Oh, the James Mangold script is amazing. The Taika Waititi script is she said specifically it's hilarious, it's great." So not surprising from Taika that he's writing something funny. I think she said something similar about the Donald Glover script as well. So it seems like, in her perfect vision of Star Wars, all of these projects make it to screen. And it seems like, and she's on her way out. Maybe that's a bit of a strategy, she's exiting the studio and wants to say, hey, I left all these projects on good terms.
Yeah, I think I think it's all corporate speak at the end of the day. Do you remember when James Gunn said that The Flash was the greatest movie he's ever seen? and then we saw it. And
Well,
we
I
were
thought
like,
that was Tom Cruise that said that.
no, both. Well, Tom Cruise said he liked it. James Gunn said it was the best movie he's ever seen. Before he took on the president role of or he just got. So I think it's all corporate speak. Like, yeah, it's great means like we haven't killed it. If it's code word for it still has an option to be made. However, none of this is really until we start rolling cameras. And even then with Warner Brothers, the whole stuff they've done, I don't think there's a case here. However, I'll give Star Wars some credit for Solo, even though they filmed it and then the Lord Miller thing happened, they still went back and refilmed it. They still got it across the finish line. They didn't like tank it for insurance money. So of these,
yeah, it was kind of.
Go ahead.
She even had like a quote on Solo. She kind of halfway acknowledged that the movie wasn't successful by saying, I don't know if maybe they asked her if she had any regrets or something. I don't know what the inciting question was, but she was kind of like, oh, I learned firsthand that maybe it was too early to, bring a new actor in for this like iconic role. I learned that nobody can replace like Han Solo. That was kind of her way of saying, the character I made earlier in my career was so good, I couldn't possibly recast them later in my career.
When did that movie come out? Because like
was that pre-pandemic or was that post-pandemic?
No, it was like 2017 or something like that. Like it's well before 2020s. Solo Star Wars story, 2018, May 23rd, 2018. I was just looking at it because I think that's like the only. I think when they had the question they posed was like, what was like, not all your movies made a lot of money. Solo only made like less than 400 million back when like all the other ones are $1 billion Star Wars stuff, right? So I think that was where that question, and I get that, like they can't all be winners at the end of the day. But obviously as a president, she's held with the the return and stuff like that. Quality, iffy, but yeah, I've got no ill will towards her. I think the thing is we're gonna have to give them, like, I know this was planned. I think they said 2 years ago. It was planned for her to leave, so like it was not like, oh my god, Dave Filoni walked in on Monday and was like, hey, congratulations on your promotion, and he just found out about it there. So that'll be interesting. I think maybe it's a Star Wars celebration this year where they kind of maybe they give us a roadmap a little bit, like maybe nothing solid, but like, hey, we're in charge now. We know where we want to go, and that's kind of the direction. Do you think it should be this year, or do we give them a year after Mandalorian is done and after right before Starfighter for them to tell us? Do we give them a year to figure it out?
I mean, I think you do it this year and you get the ball rolling. I mean, Disney is coming off such a crazy box office year. I mean, I saw the headlines that Zootopia 2 is like maybe like number 9 worldwide box office of like all time or something. Like it's insane.
It dethroned Frozen 2, for him.
Yeah, and Inside Out 2, and Avatar is like crushing it, and it's like 5th week in the box office still. Yeah. So like I think it's like, let's keep this train moving. I think if we've known this Disney Plus experiment with Star Wars has shown us kind of like two things. It seems like there's two kind of groups of like Star Wars fans right now. You got like the fan that will kind of just enjoy anything in the Star Wars universe. Like, give me all the hits, give me the lightsabers, give me the references, give me the callbacks, I'm in it for whatever you got going. And then you want people that kind of are taking this idea of a war in space maybe more seriously, more adult. You got Andor fans and kind of like not everybody else, but you kind of have like a split there. So I feel like maybe that's your strategy. You kind of try to make two different tracks of Star Wars projects to hopefully kind of like please both sides of the fandom. And if you're really lucky, maybe you can find a creator somewhere along the lines that can maybe give you a little bit of both. My concern is that the franchise is called Star Wars, and like what happens when there's no war? Like eventually there's going to be no war, right? Like you have a peaceful period or something, like like that's why I think they keep coming back to these eras of like, because they were able, like, we already had the war here, and usually you can go a long time without a war, and once you solve it, like, and then something happens. So I'm interested to see if they move forward
what is the war they're fighting? Like you mentioned, the Andor stuff. Like, what war are they fighting in? After within 100 years, how many wars can they have across the galaxy? Yeah. And will they do something?
If I learned anything about watching Shogun on FX, is you can definitely make a war story that doesn't take place like strictly with like battlefields and wars happening. I mean, I'm no expert on the history of Japan, but I'm pretty sure the Shogun series kind of takes place after a bunch of war has kind of like wrapped up. Yeah. It's almost kind of like maintaining like the struggle of maintaining peace or keeping the kettle from, boiling over in a way. So but there's definitely historical elements that they can mine on our own planet to inform stories.
Well, what I would like to do, and I think this is a little contradictory to yours, is you want the two things. I want Star Wars to play with other genres. Like, I've read a lot of the expanded universe books, and there's one called Red Harvest. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where like there's
familiar with Blue Harvest.
Yeah, Red Harvest was a book where it's essentially it's not the Ahsoka zombie troopers, but like there are like it's like a disease that like on this like crashing, and the stormtroopers are becoming zombies, but it's not like the Force made zombies like from the new one. Like maybe there's a horror Star Wars movie out there somewhere, because the galaxy's huge. They can do all sorts of stuff. Like I don't need like, I'm not saying like give us like a rom-com in Star Wars, even though they probably could if they wanted to, but like they could do a lot more because the planets are wide. And I know we disagreed in Mandalorian season 3 whenever they went to the Jack Black Lizzo planet. I'm like, well, there's thousands of planets, there's going to be some weird ones out there, but like how do you build this forward? Is it those two paths or is it not? I don't know. And I think the biggest thing would be, and we've talked about this, in the expanded universe, those Force immune creatures, the Yuzong Vong, invade that galaxy, right, from their galaxy. And it's a big war based not necessarily on internal fighting, but like an invasion from another species or, outside the galaxy. I think that would be the way forward for me that I would love to see, but I don't have all the answers here. I'm not Dave Filoni. I'm not Kathleen Kennedy. I can't tell you what to do, but anyway, that's a long story. We got Star Wars is moving, it's changing. If you've been unhappy with it, stay with us. We'll see if it brings you back later this year. Avengers Doomsday, Mike. Trailer number 4. The last trailer, there's not been 5 or 6. We've not heard rumors of another yet. Has been released, featuring the Black Panther, M'Baku, Namor, and Ben Grimm, of all people. Not the full Fantastic Four, but just Ben Grimm, Yancey Street. They do that thing, your Captain America Groot situation from Endgame, where they introduce themselves in this. And this one has so we've talked about how these trailers feel like they're shot for these promos, right? Historically, this is the only one I feel which is footage from the movie, because this all feels like movie shots, not like there would be more to the pictures and scenes if they filmed this for a trailer, but like these feel very vague and empty, like they are movie shots in this trailer. And obviously a heavy CGI with making the thing, but like there's Namor's underwater city now in a desert. Like the theory is like people are like, oh, has he been sent to the void, like where Deadpool took place, or what is this place? How did the underwater city get somewhere else? Is it an incursion point? We don't know. There's so much we don't know, Mike. But the Russo brothers have gone on record and said what you've been watching for the last 4 weeks are not teasers or trailers. They're stories. They are clues. Pay attention. What do you make of that?
Well, it kind of makes total sense, but also no sense at all. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, they're stories. Like, well, you can kind of encapsulate a lot of things if you just keep broadening the term. These aren't movies. This isn't a television set. This is physical matter. Well, yeah, that kind of covers everything. But I think the fact that they are confirming there's some sort of like puzzle to unsolve here kind of leans into that whole like, countdown thing that they were putting at the end. Yeah. We talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago that you said that these little time codes are like structured to things that are happening in the
in game.
Is it Endgame or Infinity War? I don't remember.
In game. It's in game. Like each like there's a time code that's like, oh, one of them is like, you know, when like, Captain America, or not Captain America, like the Captain America one is whenever Banner is talking to the Ancient One about if you pull the stones out, you make a branching timeline. One is when Loki breaks free and creates his branching timeline. One of them is, ironically, do you remember when Rocket asked Thor, "Why are you crying?" Whenever they went back to get the Reality Stone. Well, there's also the scene in Deadpool where they ask, "Why is Thor crying?" Where he asks why Thor is crying in the TVA with the multiverses reversal scenes. So I don't know what they're gonna do, but like that's the prevalent theory right now for everything.
Yeah. The question I have for you, Chris, they kind of can have their cake and eat it too here with the tagline at the end of this fourth trailer, because I was wondering what they were gonna type out. Because like, oh, we're seeing Namor, we're seeing all these Wakandans, we're seeing the Fantastic Four. Like that's not gonna fit on one line of copy. So they decided to condense it to say like Wakanda and the Fantastic Four, which I find humorous because Namor could go into either one. Like he's technically a Fantastic Four character from the comic books, but also we know him from the last Wakanda movie. So they're just kind of like, yeah, this is a good solve. I'm smart. I like how we figured out we don't have to type his name because it won't fit on one line. So that's what I enjoyed the most out of the trailer.
Yeah. Overall, all four of them pretty hyped. They all have over 1 billion views combined. I think there's nothing surprising here. Like, you know, I want to see more of it. I want to see what's real, what's not real. We want to know. I do think there will be a Super Bowl trailer, wholeheartedly. I feel confident. Both Marvel properties, Spider-Man, which is Sony, and this will get a teaser at the Super Bowl for sure. And I think it'll be a 2.5 minute teaser. I don't think it'll be a minute and a half. I think it'll be one, and we'll get to see Doom. I feel very, very confident in that. The other part was they've released a countdown to Doomsday Clock. It's a live YouTube video, which is just counting down till November. Me, in my production mind, Mike, I'm trying to figure out how they're running this. Like what is feeding this video?
They bought a computer at Best Buy. They plugged it into the wall and they said, "Nobody touch this."
Yeah.
We put the mouse on a little jiggler. We set it to never go to sleep. Nobody touched this computer until November. That's what they did.
And well, I also think it's probably on like a backup generator just in case. Like how are we gonna remember where the time was? So like the program that built this is cool. Like I've toyed with the idea of like trying to run this on my movie theater TV screen every once in a while, like maybe flip to it every couple hours and throw it up there and see what's going on. But it's just, you know, looping video. This between this video and the 15-hour video where they did all the casting announcement. This is just wild stuff. Absolutely. I'm here for it. I know I've talked to some other people here for it, so we'll keep you guys posted as the year goes on. Midnight Suns. This is a rumor. There's been some other Marvel rumors come out. We got two of them back to back here. Number one, the Midnight Suns rumored lineup for this movie that's still not announced yet is Blade, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, Wong, Werewolf by Night, Man Thing, and the Black Knight, with Elsa Bloodstone also to appear. I'm not gonna lie, they had me in the first half, Mike. Because we know Blade, we know the story. Ghost Rider's been rumored by a lot of people. Moon Knight, yes. Wong, yes. Werewolf by Night, yes. Man Thing, yes. Black Knight, I don't know where that one's coming from. Like, I don't foresee Jon Snow, Kit Harington coming back to play the Black Knight in this movie unless it's pretty good. Any red flags? Like, that's my red flag for this rumor. Like, I'm like, you're not going to get the Black Knight. Anything that you're thinking of, like, for this?
Yeah, if you, I mean, as Kumail Nanjiani has been going around town promoting, I think, Fallout. He's been on some podcasts recently. He's kind of talked about how, like, oh yeah, I had this huge contract. I was going to be in the MCU forever. I think he even has like a joke in his new stand-up special about how he doesn't technically need to be ripped anymore, but he's doing it just out of spite. That leads me just to believe that if he doesn't think that there's more Eternals in the future, I think Marvel could just possibly be like, maybe we just wipe this one off the slate. We'll just pretend it didn't happen. Even though me and you, we kind of enjoyed the movie on some levels, which is a bit of
It's
a bummer. And like Harry Styles has a new album coming out in March
yeah.
that I'm looking forward to. So like I wouldn't mind some Harry Styles
Well,
injected into the
we're
universe.
yeah. I think we're not getting Eternals too. I think that's maybe the thing we're gonna get here, right?
But
Like that's,
all that being said, if I was Kit Harington, I definitely would not bet the mortgage on the fact that you're going to be returning to the MCU. I would say that you are very easy cannon fodder, and they're just gonna push you off the war table. Your little piece. Sorry, buddy. But yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point just at the very beginning of this topic. It's a rumored lineup for a show, for a movie that hasn't even been announced yet.
Well, the other thing is, like, I think the other prevalent movie I've talked about before is that Blade won't come out, but Midnight Suns will. Like, there won't be a Blade solo film right away. I think last week it was shelved, but Midnight Suns sounds like a pretty good place to introduce. So we don't need to know who Blade is to kick this movie off. But like like everyone else, I'm like, yeah, that's fine, that's great, awesome. But Black Knight's the only one I'm like, man, that's really weird. And I was looking up, Kit Harington, he's got a movie coming out with what's her, Sophie Turner, right? Coming up, I think is it on Amazon or something like that? I'm gonna pull it up here. No, it's just
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
yeah, it's called The Dreadful, and he's gonna be in that. But I don't know what else this guy's been doing. He doesn't need the money. He's getting all his money from Game of Thrones, right? Like this coming in. But like I think he could do it, but like I don't need Kit Harington's Black Knight, who we don't know who he is or what he's doing, to show up here. I will say, back to your Eternals thing, there will be Eternals in the MCU. They will show them at some point, but they're not gonna get an Eternals 2 movie. We're not gonna get the follow up to that. And we were lucky to even get a reference in Captain America early last year about the big adamantium statue in the ocean. But Midnight Suns possibly down the road. The other one is another team up film that is rumored, and that is the X-Force movie. Marvel's moving forward with an X-Force inspired film. May not be X-Force entirely, but this could be Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool movie he's been working on. He tried to set up X-Force in X-Men or Deadpool 2, right, when he got the team together that died immediately. With Deadpool and Wolverine, and then them getting a team up together to do some Black Ops stuff. This is fine. I mean, this would be cool, but we got to get X-Men in first before we can do this, I guess.
The ancillary X-Men stuff needs an established X-Men universe, right? The X-Force is interesting because I don't want to say they're like the Suicide Squad of the X-Men, because that's not the case. But they're like a group of like misfit, like either experiments or mutants that have gone wrong, have not found their place in society through any number of means. So you kind of need that world to exist before they can kind of go out and form like this group. So I agree. X-Men first.
Yeah, you got to do that to kind of get there. And while we have 3 Deadpool movies, and that's fine, but he's not really had a direction. Like, if you're gonna do X-Force, they need to be on a mission, right? What's their mission? What are they doing? Why are they operating undercover here? And I think they need to get that going. But I'm down for it when they do. But you don't need to rush this one out the door. I don't think they are. I think they've got X-Men on the minds. But this will just be, hey, if we've got Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool and that Deadpool Wolverine money, let's keep tapping into that while we can. Lastly, Mr. Miracle, we talked about last week, that show, they're casting for, stuff like that. Tom King went on to say, James Gunn went on to say that the series is officially set in the DCU, meaning people they cast as voice actors will most likely or be able to play the live action version if they want, and they have cast Darkseid, but they're not telling us who this is yet. Does this do anything for you, Mike, because of that?
Well, it definitely leans into the fact that they are going to like flesh out the gods side of gods and monsters, right? It's actually kind of funny if you think about it. The whole, framework for these movies is gods and monsters, and it's really only been directly addressed really with the animated shows. Creature Commandos, those are the monsters. Mr. Miracle, that's going to be the gods. Like, I guess maybe if you look at Superman, you could kind of call him a god in a way. But yeah, I'd be excited to see Darkseid.
Mhm.
What's the granny? What's her name again?
Granny Goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
All
Give me
those
all those
new
weirdos. I can't wait.
all those new gods names are so weird. Like I was looking, I was trying to find some photos of this stuff earlier, and I saw like a picture of Mr. Miracle with his mask off. He just looks like a regular dude, and like I'm like, this is really. I was expecting something completely different, but he just looks like a regular person. I was trying to pull up a list of who are these people. The Genesians and the Apocalyptic. Oh my god, this is wild. This is Eternal. We just talked about Eternals. This is Eternals level shit for DC right here. We're gonna have to figure out how they're gonna talk about all these stuff like that. But honestly, I think dabbling in the animated world, kind of giving in a goofy thing with Mr. Miracle / Scott Free is probably the best way to do that along the way. And they're leaning a lot into Tom King's works, right? Mr. Miracle, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, stuff like that. So we've got a pretty good basis for the DCU to build some of these characters off of as they move forward. Mike, that's our notes for this week. You got anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
We did it. New year,
Yes.
same old us. We'll be here every week.
That's right. We will be back. Mike, if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you, buddy?
Oh, they can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com and liferewardsrisk.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or Video Game Systems with the same name. People know about the show, where they can come to our show notes, see all these links to these videos and photos we've got going on here. Where can they get all them goodies at?
Oh, as always, visit superheroslate.com. We're also on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you're listening to podcasts. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love our super fans. If you want to be a super fan of this show, all you have to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.